Hey there, friends. If your birth year falls somewhere in the 1940s, 1950s, or 1960s, something about your social security shifted this year, and almost no one bothered to tell you which part shows up at your door first. Some of these are brand new changes. Some are old rules that simply finished their long rollout. And one of them is money the government may already owe you directly. We are talking about a back payment that for a large number of people arrived as thousands of dollars in a single deposit. I will get there, it is change number 4, and honestly that one alone is worth staying through the entire video to hear about. Here is my plan today: 6 genuine changes hitting Social Security in 2026. For every single one, I will walk you through what it is, who it affects first, and the one concrete action you should actually take. And I can promise you this much: at least one of these 6 is already affecting your check right now, whether you have noticed it yet or not. Welcome back, and if this is your very first visit to this channel, really glad you stumbled across it. One quick thing before we get moving: these rules shift every single year, and nobody from any government office is going to call and give you advance notice. So go ahead and hit subscribe and you will hear about it here before it sneaks up on you. And please do not just take my word on any of this. Every official source is linked down in the description below. Go verify the numbers for yourself. Alright, change number 1. The full retirement age finally reached its ceiling, and it landed on the 1960s generation first. For years, the age at which you could collect your full unreduced Social Security benefit crept upward by a couple of months at a time. That gradual climb is finished. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is now 67, completely flat. No additional months tacked on, just 67. This part speaks directly to you if you were born in the early 1960s. You are the first complete generation living entirely under the 67 rule, with no wiggle room. Say you are turning 62 this year, meaning you were born in 1964. You can absolutely begin collecting at 62. Nobody is going to prevent that. But starting that early now locks in a permanent monthly reduction of roughly 30% for the rest of your life. Not a one-time adjustment, not temporary, forever. And if you were born in 1959, you are the very last group to slip in just under a slightly lower bar, a full retirement age of 66 and 10 months. 2 months of birth date difference separates you from everyone who has to wait that additional stretch. Funny how life lines up that way sometimes. Here is the piece most people completely overlook. Waiting beyond 67 actually pays you more. For every year you hold off up to age 70, Social Security tax on roughly 8% to your monthly payment. Wait the full distance to 70, and your check is approximately a quarter larger than it would have been if you had started at 67. Same person, identical work record, just a different starting date. So before you file a single thing, log into your account at SSA.gov and compare the 3 figures sitting side by side: 62, 67, and 70. The difference between them tends to genuinely surprise people. Quick one while I have your attention. Which decade were you born in? The 1940s, the 1950s, or the 1960s? Drop it in the comments below. It helps me understand whose rules I need to dig into most carefully next time. Change number 2. A phone call is no longer sufficient on its own. This is the one catching people completely flat-footed, and it hits the oldest group, those born in the 1940s, the hardest. Last spring, Social Security overhauled the way you prove your identity. If you are filing for retirement benefits, survivor benefits, or a spousal benefit, you can no longer simply call in and verify who you are over the telephone. The same applies if you want to update the bank account where your payment is deposited. So now you have exactly 2 options available to you. Option 1, you verify through your personal My Social Security account online at SSA.gov. Option 2, you do it face-to-face, either at a local field office or, in many areas now, at a participating post office, because the agency established a partnership with the Postal Service to handle this at thousands of locations across the country. This part applies especially to those born in the 1940s. Anyone in their late 70s or 80s who has handled everything by telephone for years is going to feel this change most directly. To be fair, the phone still handles plenty of things just fine. Disability claims, Medicare inquiries, and SSI matters can still be managed over the phone. But retirement and survivor claims, and any change to your direct deposit, now require either an online account or an in-person visit. If you have been putting off setting up your online account, do it on a relaxed afternoon when nothing urgent is pressing on you, not the week you suddenly discover you need it desperately. Change number 3. Paper checks are being permanently retired. If you or someone in your family still receives that Social Security payment as a paper check arriving in the mailbox each month, pay close attention, because this one has a firm deadline attached to it. Under an executive order signed in 2025, the federal government is eliminating paper checks for benefit payments entirely. The phase-out began on September 30th of 2025, and the full transition to electronic payment is completing itself throughout this year. There are 2 ways to keep your money flowing without interruption: direct deposit sent straight into your bank account, or the Direct Express card, which is a prepaid debit card designed specifically for people who do not have a traditional bank account. Either option works perfectly well. A paper check going forward simply will not. There is a narrow exception built in. If you genuinely cannot transition to electronic payment, perhaps someone in a truly remote location without any nearby banking access, or certain verified hardship situations, you can request a waiver from the Treasury Department. That phone number is 1-877-874-6347. Write that down somewhere accessible: 1-877-874-6347. But for the great majority of recipients, the straightforward move is direct deposit, and the reasoning behind it is legitimate. A paper check is far more likely to be lost in the mail, stolen from a mailbox, or fraudulently altered than any electronic transfer. So here is a small favour I want to ask. If your mother or father is in their late 70s and still waiting on a paper envelope every month, pause this video right now and give them a phone call tonight. Do not let this be the thing that disrupts their income unexpectedly. Change number 4, the repeal that almost nobody filed for, and the retroactive payment that arrived with it. This is the one I told you at the beginning to stick around for. For more than 40 years, 2 federal rules quietly reduced or outright eliminated the Social Security checks of people who had also earned a public pension. Teachers, firefighters, police officers, postal workers, and other public employees in certain states all felt this. The rules carried bureaucratic names: the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. But the actual effect was direct and deeply unfair. You worked a public sector job. You also paid into Social Security through separate employment. Or your late spouse did. And when the time came to collect what you were owed, the government deducted a portion of it, sometimes hundreds of dollars every single month, sometimes eliminating a surviving spouse's benefit entirely down to zero. That era is over. A law called the Social Security Fairness Act was signed in January of 2025, and it erased both of those provisions from the books, reaching back to cover benefits from 2024 onward. Then the agency did something it does not often do with any speed. It began sending payments out. By the middle of last year, Social Security had distributed back payments to more than 3 million people, totaling somewhere in the neighbourhood of $17 billion, and a significant portion of those arrived as single lump sum deposits. This part of the conversation belongs to public pension retirees and to the widows and widowers who bore the heaviest burden under the old rules. Let me put a real face on it. Picture a woman named Carol, 68 years old, a retired school teacher living just outside Dayton, Ohio. Carol spent nearly 3 decades teaching on a state pension. When her husband passed away, she applied for a survivor benefit on his Social Security record, and the old offset provision zeroed it out completely. Not a penny. For years she accepted that as simply how the law worked, and she moved forward with her life. Then the repeal happened. Her survivor benefit was restored to just over $1,100 per month. And a few weeks after that, a retroactive payment covering the month she had been owed appeared in her bank account. She had no idea it was on its way. Here is the encouraging news and the important caveat presented together. For the majority of people, there is nothing you need to file or submit. If Social Security already has your current information on file, the benefit adjustments and the back payment are handled automatically. But the majority is not everyone. If you relocated, if your banking information changed, if your record involved any complications, or if you never bothered claiming a spousal or survivor benefit in the first place because the old rule made it seem pointless, You could be sitting on money that the system has not yet directed to you. So if you or your late spouse ever worked in a position that came with a public pension, go check your status. Log into SSA.gov or call the main line at 1-800-77-21213. A single phone call could be worth an entire year's worth of additional payments. Change number 5. Your raise arrived and Medicare quietly took a portion before it ever reached you. Back in January, every Social Security recipient received a cost of living adjustment of 2.8%. For the average retiree, that translates to roughly $56 additional per month. Real, meaningful money. But here is where the math turns against you. The standard Medicare Part B premium also increased in 2026, rising to $185.00 per month, a jump of nearly $18 from the year before. And because that premium is automatically deducted from your Social Security check before the deposit ever reaches your bank, a notable portion of the raise disappeared before you could even see it. For a lot of recipients, close to 1/3 of the entire cost of living increase was absorbed by the Medicare premium hike. This next piece is particularly relevant for those born in the 1950s who are still working. If you are below your full retirement age for the entire year and you are collecting Social Security while continuing to work, 2026 allows you to earn up to $24,480 before Social Security begins holding back $1 for every $2 you earn above that threshold. In the specific year you actually reach your full retirement age, that limit increases substantially to $65,160, and the withholding eases to $1 held back for every $3 you earn over the line. And once you have fully reached your full retirement age, the limit vanishes entirely. Earn as much as you want without any reduction. Now here is the thing people tend to panic about completely unnecessarily. Whatever money they hold back during those working years is not permanently gone. Once you reach full retirement age, the agency recalculates your benefit and returns that withheld amount to you gradually over time. It feels like a punishment while it is happening. In reality, it is simply a postponement. Change number 6, and this one is genuinely working in your favour. There is a new tax deduction written specifically for older Americans, and it first appeared on returns starting with the 2025 tax year. If you are 65 or older, you are eligible to claim an additional deduction of up to $6,000 per person, or $12,000 for a married couple, where both individuals are 65 or older. You receive it regardless of whether you take the standard deduction or choose to itemize. And as the law currently stands, it remains in effect through the 2028 tax year. It does taper off at higher income levels. The deduction begins shrinking once your modified income exceeds $75,000 if you are single, or $150,000 for a couple filing jointly. And it phases out completely at $175,000 for single filers and $250,000 for joint filers. But for the broad population of retirees living on a benefit check and a modest pension, that represents genuinely meaningful money staying in your pocket when tax season arrives. Make sure whoever prepares your taxes knows to apply it. Do not leave that deduction unclaimed on the table. Now, before the full recap, 2 additional things you need to hear together. First, the reason all of these changes are arriving at the same time. On June 9th of this year, the Social Security and Medicare trustees released their annual financial report. The headline finding is this: the primary retirement trust fund is now projected to be depleted in late 2032. If Congress takes no corrective action before that point, the incoming payroll tax revenue would cover only about 78% of promised benefits, which translates to an across-the-board reduction of roughly 22%. Nothing changes for you today. Your check is secure right now. But that projected date is precisely why you keep hearing discussions about reform and potential adjustments. It is worth holding in mind as you think through the timing of your own claim. Second point, and please take this one seriously. Every single time Social Security modifies its rules, individuals with bad intentions get busy because confusion and uncertainty are their most powerful tools. Right now, the most prevalent scheme is a phone call. Someone rings you up, claims to represent Social Security, tells you your number has been flagged or suspended due to suspected fraud, and says the only resolution is to confirm your Social Security number over the phone, or send a payment, sometimes in the form of gift cards. Every word of it is fabricated. Social Security will not call you and issue threats. They will never instruct you to resolve anything by purchasing gift cards. The correct response is simple. End the call, just hang up immediately. Then report it, either online at oig.ssa.gov or by phone at 180-2690-271. You can also file a report with the Federal Trade Commission at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Let me repeat that fraud reporting number one more time so you have it. 180-2690-271. Be the person in your household and your circle of friends who recognises it immediately as a scam. Quick question while everything is still fresh. Have you personally received one of those calls claiming your social security number has been suspended? Share in the comments how they tried to run it on you. Your story might be the exact thing that prevents someone else from becoming a victim. So here is the complete picture laid out clearly. 1. Full retirement age is permanently set at 67 for everyone born in 1960 or later, and claiming at 62 means a permanent reduction of roughly 30% every month. 2. Phone verification is no longer accepted for retirement, survivor or spousal claims, or for changing your direct deposit information. It requires an online account or a physical in-person visit. 3. Paper checks are being discontinued, so transition to direct deposit or the Direct Express card, and use the Treasury waiver line only if electronic payment is genuinely not an option for your circumstances. 4. The windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset were both repealed, and if you or your late spouse held a public pension position, there may be back pay and an increased monthly benefit waiting for you, often requiring nothing to be filed at all. 5. Your 2.8% cost of living increase was partially offset by the higher Medicare Part B premium. And if you are still employed, make sure you understand your annual earnings limits. And 6. The new senior tax deduction of up to $6,000 per person is available for you to claim through 2028 if your income falls within the qualifying range. Out of those 6 changes, which one caught you completely off guard, or which one has been quietly affecting your check this whole time without your awareness? Share it in the comments below. I genuinely read through them, and I want to understand how many of us are navigating the same situations together. One final thought before you head out. None of what I have shared here constitutes legal or financial advice, and I am not affiliated with any government agency. I simply read through the official rules so you do not have to wrestle with all of it on your own. For your specific personal situation, please review the official pages linked in the description or speak with Social Security directly, because the details can vary depending on your state and your individual record. If this video added value for you today, pass it along to someone who genuinely needs it. A parent who is still receiving a paper check each month, a retired teacher who never received their offset money back, a neighbour who is about to file at 62 without fully understanding what that decision will cost them long term. Send it to them today. The rules are never going to come looking for you personally, but now you know precisely where each one landed. I will see you in the next one.